Okay, so the last time I made a video on this, I don't really remember what were the details that I had shared, but somewhere I felt that I should make another video on the subject, because there's been a lot of you guys who have asked me questions on why is it that I use a KTM style or a KTM handlebar. It's a Duke 390 handlebar. I would like to clarify that one more time. This is not the Adventure 390 handlebar. This is the Duke 390 handlebar, and I have some handlebar risers here. So yeah, to start with, the usual stuff, knuckle guards. And these are closed knuckle guards. These are not open knuckle guards like how they come in the Himalayan. I mean, from the factory, what they have is an open knuckle guard, which kind of ends here. And there are advantages to that. There are disadvantages to that. Well, I'll just talk about the advantages of this particular one. This is pretty cheap to start with. This is not the expensive bark buster. I've always wanted to have the bark busters, but then when I gave this a try, and I was pretty convinced with the quality. 2000 Indian rupees. So the only question that I had in my mind was, will this be able to take a nice solid crash? And this did. I did crash at a very high speed while taking off a ridge, and I landed on rocks, and this took a big hit. If you can see, the underside of this has completely gone for a toss, and what I did was I kind of scuffed it to whatever degree I felt I needed to, and then I gave it a coat of paint, and that was that. And the metal held on pretty well, pretty nicely, and I'm really happy about having these on the motorcycle for just 2000 rupees. And that's the knuckle guard. Many of you think the knuckle guard is a must. It isn't. It's an absolute foolish thought. If you think that you guys need to do this as the first mod, this adds weight to the handlebar, and you need to be considering this very carefully before you go ahead with this. Why do you need knuckle guards? If you do bush riding like this, if you do all sorts of riding like this on this kind of terrain, then you need to know that your hands, your fingers especially, are going to be safe when you go banging into these right around your fingers. They get caught in between your fingers and your levers, and I don't know if people would understand. You need to have sufficient experience doing this kind of stuff to understand how these knuckle guards protect your fingers from all sorts of things that could go wrong in here when you try getting into thicker vegetation. And apart from that, this kind of cuts the air that hits your gloves. I do not have heated grips on the motorcycle because I live in Chennai, and Chennai is quite the hot place all around the year. It's not a very lovely climate. It's most of the year it's above 30 degrees centigrades, and heated grips is absolutely nonsense, the place where I live in. And the best thing to do if you encounter cold weather, I mean, yeah, I do occasional trips to the mountain tops, and this kind of cuts the cold air hitting my fingers, and so saves my fingers from freezing up, and I can still use them for the levers. So that's weather protection and twig bush protection. That's about it. And of course, the last would be when you have a major crash. This kind of protects your levers, which is not something where which concerns everyone. Very rarely would you guys have a crash, and so if you think this is an investment to protect your levers, then there's very little that I can say about it. The levers come in at around $200, and this fellow comes in at around 2,000 rupees, and bark busters would be 10,000 rupees. So I don't know if you need a 10,000 rupee hand guard to protect a 200 rupee lever. Yes, of course, if you're in the middle of nowhere and then you fall down and you've broken your lever, it's kind of a tricky thing riding back. But then again, from my experience, I have ridden back with half the lever as well. So it's not something that is a must. But if you want to go in for hand guards, then yes. Number two would be my double take mirrors. If you can see, these things fold back, and They are just absolutely amazing. You can have all sorts of views from the double take mirrors. They can fold back to a point where you can lie them flat on, like, if let's just say if you're super particular about not having the double take mess it up for you, then you can you can do this as well. So you can have them completely out of your way, and that's the wonderful idea behind having a double take. And then once you're back on the road, you can get it back on and set it up nicely, just the way you want it. These mirrors don't vibrate. They are far better in terms of vision, and these pieces of glasses or lenses, whatever it is that I want to call this is extraordinary quality. This alone would be really expensive, not just the RAM part of the double take mirror, the glass as well. So yeah, that's how a double take mirror works. Again, like I said, you can twist and turn this and have n number of options where you can set this. And okay, so that's another pretty expensive mod. I got these mirrors for about 14,000 Indian rupees. Now added to that, I had to get these keys. These are anti-theft keys. The usual RAM mounts come with a knob like this. If you guys can see, there's a knob here. So all you need to do is turn in and turn out to add tension and release tension between the RAM arms. But then again, that also presents itself as a wonderful opportunity for people to meddle with it, to keep playing with it, or worst case scenario, for people to take it with them to their homes. And India, theft is something which has to be considered when you do mods on your motorcycles, because you need to make mods in such a way that nobody can really think of messing with it, or if they do, they kind of have a hard time trying to meddle with your things, and by that time you can come and intervene. So this is anti-theft keys. That comes in at about 100 or 1,500 rupees. All put together, this thing is going to be an exponential investment to mods. Back in another location. I don't really know if you guys would like something like this, a change of location. The place there was just getting a little too sunny for us, and we had to find ourselves some shade, and so here we are. All said and done, this is back to the handlebar. So the number one thing that I would want you guys to know before you try and change your handlebars is, what is your height? This whole thing depends on your height and your riding style, and where you ride at most often. So I do 50-60% highway rides and 30-40% of off-roading, and 10% of city. I don't use this motorcycle for city use at all. I have my car, I commute on my car, and this is just for Sundays and Saturdays and trips. So this has been a tripping motorcycle for both of us, and we've used it only for trips. I maybe had to go to work for about 5-6 months in the beginning when I got the motorcycle, and that was it. So coming back to the handlebar, I have chosen a handlebar which has a nice sweep to the rider, which is not too aggressive like how you find it on street bikes. This is a handlebar from the KTM DUKE 390. That is a pretty aggressive street bike, but surprisingly it has a handlebar which has only so much of sweep. It doesn't sweep in a little too inwards towards the rider, where you have the problem of your elbows tucking in. So this offers quite a lot of room for the elbow to be upright like that, and at the same time you are also kind of relaxed on the highways, is because your arms are not too wide out. And well, that is why I chose this handlebar. Another reason why I have the handlebar from the KTM is because I have had friends who've owned KTM Dukes, and they've had massive crashes on their motorcycles, and the last thing that they've complained about is the handlebar. The handlebars just don't bend. There's some kind of really nice strong alloy. This particular section right about here is 1 inch, and it tapers to your 22 millimeters or 3/8 inches, I guess. So this is kind of a fat bar style handlebar where the center portion is quite wide, and towards the side it tapers down to the regular size handlebars. And so then again you are talking about reinforcement in the center. Another thing that has gone on here is, if you guys can see, I have Handlebar Risers. These are not the world's best quality handlebar risers, but these are pivotable risers. So the advantage of using these risers versus the stock risers, the ones that just get mounted right about there at the perch, and then you fix the handlebar in one position, versus this is that this offers multiple adjustment positions. You can move you can move the handlebar forward and backward, like you can move this forward and backward, and fasten it with the top clamps, and then you can have that style come towards you or go away from you. I don't really know if I can explain it any better. This helps you adjust the handlebar's position in multiple ways. So you will be able to narrow it down to exactly what you are comfortable with on your kind of riding terrain or style or trips. So that's the handlebar and the handlebar risers. This is 2 inches from the perch, so the handlebar comes in about 2 inches. I am about 5'10" and a half. And this is important for me that I have the handlebar come in a little upwards, is because the stock position is a little too low for me. Gets to my nerves after a point of time. It is good. It's a very good height for off-roading, but 2 inches upwards is multiple end uses. You can do off-road, you can do on-road, you can do long highway stretches, and everything is just a little bit more comfortable. Of course, you can't go attacking with this handlebar. This is not the attacking handlebar style or position with the handlebar risers, but yes, this can do a decent amount of off-roading. Now coming to what else do I have here. This is more like a mount for the camera. This camera here, this fellow here, I got it off Amazon. I will mention the links of all these products that you see here on my in my description. You guys can go and check that out and buy what it is that you want to buy. So this is another wonderful mount from Amazon. The way it clips in is like this, so I can remove this and this comes off, and it kind of grabs your handlebar. It can grab just about anything which is cylindrical or oval in nature, and you can mount your action cameras here to get that frontal view, the frontal view of the rider. So that's another simple equipment there. And my 12-volt charger unit. This is more like the cigarette lighter charger unit. So that's that, and you drop in the cigarette lighter USB ports in there, or the USB contraption, and then you can draw power out of this. So that's 12 volt and 120 watts. My, that's quite strong. Yeah, so another thing with this is I have installed all of this in such a way that there is no power draw or ghost draw. All of this gets turned on when I have the ignition turned on. So I'll do a video, exclusive video on the wiring part of it some other day. This is the area where you will I'll talk about this in great detail, because there's been many of you who've been asking me about how to go about installing aux lamps, fog lights, electrical equipment to the motorcycle. So I'll talk about that some other day. For now, I have my 12-volt socket. What you see here is my if you guys can watch it, well, that's another switch, a metal switch, which kicks in my spotlight. And so it's like this, a simple switch, metal switch for my spotlights, and this is for my Powertronic piggyback ECU map 2 and map 1. So I ride at map 2 when I'm on the highways. I'm doing quite good speeds and aggressive throttle bursts, and map 1 would be city, very similar to the stock tune. Another simple contraption from the Chinese market, the X-Grip or the Ram X-Grip replica. Again, the advantage of something with Chinese goods, Chinese products, is that they always overdo their designs, and this time it's no exception. They have a charger unit attached to this. So it's a 2-in-1. Instead of just having the RAM arm with no charging facility. This allows you to charge your phone on the go. So, and I have used this for about 2.5 years now. There's been just minor issues of the wiring coming off, and I have resoldered it in place, and there you go, no issues at all. 2 years, solid product. I don't really remember how much I got this for, but I will definitely mention the link in the description. I have a lot of these RAM balls here and there, just so that I can attach my RAM arms and attach equipments to that. Well, that's about it. Anything else on the handlebar? That's the whole of it, guys. That's the handlebar. That's all there is that I can see as of now. Yeah, nothing much. The whole thing about the handlebar is about comfort more than anything else. If you use this on off-road, on-road, bush riding, and if you've bought the Himalayan for a lot of different end uses, then you should keep in mind comfort as the #1 criteria. If you are only about doing solid bush riding, you know, hardcore off-road, then of course you can go in for an enduro style flat bar, which offers you that attacking stance. But that being said, this is all about comfort for me. Me and Ashi, we do weekend trips on this. She sits for hours and hours on the motorcycle, and I have done about 27,000 kilometers on the motorcycle now. It's a lot of road that you have to, you know, take in at one go, one stretch. All the kilometers that I've done on the road, about 27,000 kilometers on this motorcycle, I've understood. And this would be my, I don't really know, 25th motorcycle or something. And with all the number of years of experience that I've had riding on the road, off-road, doing all sorts of trips, the most important thing that I keep in mind when I go in for any kind of modification on a motorcycle is comfort. Yes, I do understand that the Himalayan is not all about highway cruising. It is about wonderful off-road sessions. But that being said, I would like to do my off-road sessions and then come back on the highway to do long stretches of road and see as much as I can see. Many of you, I think you guys have understood this motorcycle. You've not really figured it out that well. You see these wonderful riders, experienced riders. So many of you have misunderstood the Himalayan as a motorcycle that is capable of doing anything and everything. So you go about watching Chris Burt's videos and you go about thrashing your motorcycle. You do these crazy jumps, and then you land on all sorts of terrain and you crack your chassis, and then you end up complaining about the build quality of the motorcycle. Well, this motorcycle is not canvassed or marketed as a motorcycle for you to jump with. It is not a hardcore enduro or hardcore motocross motorcycle. This is a 200 plus kilo motorcycle. Even if you get rid of everything, if you strip the motorcycle down to its bare bones, this motorcycle weighs 198 kilos with 15 liters of fuel. And you're talking 200 kilos with nothing. Well, and then if you go about adding crash bars, saddle stays, blah, 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 your tank bags, your luggage, all that put together, you're looking at 220 kilos of dead weight that you have to handle. And kindly keep in mind that this weight is a huge amount of stress on the moving components, on the chassis. And don't go about trashing this motorcycle thinking that it's a 120 kilo dirt bike. It isn't. So I don't really know if you guys would have experienced this. Many of you would have had Royal Enfields before the Himalayan. I don't really know if anyone would want to do jumps with them. And this turned out to be the first bike where I see videos of people jumping, all sorts of things. This chassis is not built to handle jumps. This can take all sorts of pebbles, small rocks, mud roads, dirt roads, you name it, this can take any terrain, but this motorcycle cannot take jumps. If you see someone doing jumps and if you try it on your motorcycle as well, you are bound to have a crack in your chassis. Somewhere in your chassis. It's not always the collar. It can be down the swing arm, near the swing arm components as well. And it's also to do. It's also got a lot to do with your suspension. If your suspension is off, if your suspension is not working properly, if your fork oil has the life of the oil has expired, then also you are risking your chassis. You're risking your collar cracking. So keep in mind that there is a lot to adventure motorcycling. I strongly believe that adventure motorcycling is not about small adventures. Hop on the motorcycle, go as far as you can, and then come back home safely. That is what is more important. Coming back home safe. A motorcycle that should not let you down in the middle of nowhere, you know. And for that, it's just not about the build quality of the machine. It's also about how seasoned are you as a rider. How well do you take care of yourself, your riding, and your motorcycle. So I hope these videos are turning out to be some kind of inspiration, and if you like the content, kindly subscribe to the channel and leave a huge thumbs up every single time you watch these videos. Hopefully someday this channel will grow into a wonderful platform for hundreds and thousands of people to enjoy the content. So that being said, this is Ben signing out for now. We'll be back with another wonderful video. See you soon.